Hello and welcome to Saki Tech. In today's video, I will share over 40 tips and tricks for the Samsung Galaxy Note 3, which happens to be a fantastic device full of rich features. Now, every time I use this phone, I discover something new, and most of these tips are actually useful. Samsung has done an absolutely amazing job with TouchWiz. So let's dive right in. Okay, so the first tip I want to go over is where you can actually control your phone using some voice commands at the lock screen. Okay, so here's my lock screen, and I can actually launch the camera right now using my voice. How do you do that? Let me first demonstrate, then I'm going to show you how to turn this feature on. Okay, so let me launch the camera. Launch the camera. Okay, as you can see, the camera was launched. Let's do one more. Let me turn this off. Unlock the screen. So basically, using my voice, I can issue voice commands at the lock screen. Okay, so let's find out how to get that done. So go to your settings and go to device, and under device go under lock screen. When you're here, you have to make sure that your screen lock security is set to be swipe. Okay, so if you choose any other option here, you're not going to be able to wake up your phone from a lock screen. So you have to have it set up at the swipe. Once you're done, you scroll down and look for the wake up in lock screen command. Make sure it is turned on, and then you can go inside and you can set 4 different voice commands. So let's say I already have 2, the open camera and unlock. So let's set one more up real quick. Let's go for play music, or let's just go for record voice. So you tap that.
Tap the mic button, then say the word or phrase you want to use as the wake up command 4 times.
Okay, so I have to record the issuing command 4 times. So let's do it this way. Record voice. Record voice. Record voice. Record voice.
Recognized.
Done.
Now.
Okay, so let me demonstrate that real quick. Record voice. As you can see, the voice recording app launches, and then you have to press enter. It starts recording the voice. And remember, you can do up to 4 of these guys. So if you go into lock screen, you go into the wake up in lock screen, you can record 4 voice commands for the lock screen commands. Okay, so the next tip has to do with how much storage you can save on your phone by doing some little tweaks here and there. So again, go to settings, go to general, and then go to storage. Okay, down here you'll see an option that says cached data. In my case, that is 454 megabytes. That's a lot of space that I can free up, and I can use it for other stuff. So all you do is you tap cached data, and it actually gives you the option to delete the cached data for good. Okay, and if you say okay, then you're going to have 454 megabytes free in my case, but in your case you'll have much more or maybe less, depending on how much apps you have on your phone and how much cached data that you have. And then of course I'm going to give you a side tip. Using this menu right here, the storage menu, you can actually keep track of your storage space as well. So you can see that the system memory is taking up 6 gigabytes. Your total used space is 3.34 gigabytes. If you tap this, you get some details. So it tells you the applications are taking 1.81 gigs. The pictures are taking 11.49 megabytes. And then the audio is taking 1 gigabytes. And then the downloads folder contains 1.58 megabytes. Okay, so it's a really nice way to keep track of your storage for your phone. Now let's say that you're wearing some gloves, it's a cold weather, and you don't want to pull up your gloves just to use your phone. With the Samsung Galaxy Note 3, you can actually adjust the sensitivity of your screen so you can actually use the screen even if you're wearing gloves. To do this, go to settings, go to controls, scroll all the way to the bottom, and it says increase touch sensitivity of the screen. So if you tap this, now you can actually use your phone even if you're wearing gloves. Now, provided that the gloves may not be too thick, but a simple layer of gloves will work just fine. Okay, so Samsung Galaxy Note 3 is a huge phone, and one-handed operation is basically impossible. Like if you have an iPhone, you can just grab the iPhone and use the whole thing with one hand. With the Samsung Galaxy Note 3, you can do that. However, there is a fantastic option in the Note 3 that makes one-handed operation possible. If you go to Settings and look for Controls, and then just go to one-handed operation, you can turn on this option on the top that says Use for all screens. Once you have this enabled, you can go anywhere on the screen, on the corner, and do a sideways V. And that is going to drop the size of your screen to something that is more manageable with one hand, as you can see. This is an absolutely fantastic feature that I absolutely adore. Okay, you can even resize this window, so you can make it smaller. You can move it around. You can make it bigger. Okay, and then you also have the home button right here that you can use as if it was the same physical button. You have the settings button right there. So this whole thing becomes your phone, this space. And then once you're done, you can just tap this, goes back to normal operation. Okay, so this is an amazing way to use the phone with one hand in situations where you do need, you only have access to one of your hands. Okay, the next step also actually goes over the one-handed operation tips. What you can do this time is, let's say you're going to type something here. Let's say you're going to type google.com. Okay, it's very hard to type this with one hand if you're using the entire keyboard, because if you have small hands like mine, or most people, you're not going to be able to reach the corners comfortably. What you can do is on the Samsung keyboard, you tap on the options pane at the bottom here. You just tap on it. You get another menu. From this menu, you tap the keyboard symbol, and from here you can actually switch to one-handed operation. So if you're left-handed, you can have the keyboard justify towards the left, and now as you can see, it is very easy to type with one hand only. And if you're right-handed, you just tap this arrow right here, goes on the other side. Okay, so you can move back and forth. When you're done, you do the same thing. When you want to get rid of this, you tap the options pane right there, tap on the keyboard, and just click normal. Okay, and while we are in the keyboard, you can also have the keyboard float in the middle there for some reason. I have not found a use for that, but you also have this option. So you can have this keyboard anywhere on the screen, anywhere. Okay, maybe you can use this as a one-handed operation too. Put it back to normal, and we'll move on to the next tip. Now the next tip is directly related to the keyboard trick. When you turn on the one-handed operation for the keyboard, you can also turn it on for some apps. So let's go back to the controls here, one-handed operation, and as you can see in the calculator app, you can do the exact same thing. So let's launch that application, so the stock calc application, and as you can see, you can switch the keypad left or right for easy one-handed operation as well. Okay, so the next tip has to do with your S Pen. So the S Pen is an expensive item. You do not want to lose it. Okay, if you lose it, you may have to buy a replacement for $30 or $40. So how do you make sure you never lose your S Pen? What you do is you go to your settings, you go to controls, and then you go under S Pen options here, and you make sure the S Pen keeper is turned on. And if you read the description here, it says it sounds an alert and shows a pop-up when you walk away with your device without attaching the S Pen. So if your S Pen was detached, it was sitting on the table right here, and you grabbed your phone and you walked away, what would happen is after 10 to 15 feet, your phone starts beeping saying that you are forgetting your S Pen, you're leaving your S Pen behind. and then you can come back and you can grab your S Pen so you never lose it in your life again. Okay, and another tip regarding the S Pen. So if you float your S Pen on top of the screen, you'll see a little pointer that follows the tip of your S Pen. So let me just zoom in real quick. And if you look carefully, there's a little pointer that floats on the screen. If that is annoying to you, you can actually turn that off. Okay, and how do you do that? Go to Settings. Okay, go to S Pen. And what you can now do is you can turn off the pointer by tapping this option right here. So it shows the pointer when you hover the S Pen over the screen. It's turned off. You're not going to see it anymore. You turn it on and you will see it on the screen. Okay, so that's a nice little tip right there. And again, while we're talking about the S Pen, let's talk about one more feature that has to do with the S Pen abilities. So go back to Settings, Controls, and go into S Pen. And what you can do is, when you pull your S Pen out of your note, you can actually tell the phone to do certain things. And how you do that is, you look down here, it says Pen Detachment Options. So you tap this, and then what you can do is, if you pull your S Pen from your phone, you can either have the Air Command option pop up, an Action Memo option pop up, or nothing pop up. Okay, so normally when you pull your S Pen, this is what you see, the Air Command. But if you don't want the Air Command to pop up, you can go to Action Memo, or you can simply go to Nothing. And then while we are in here, let's just finish the tips with the S Pen. You can actually change the sound that your device plays when you detach your S Pen from your Galaxy Note 3. And you have an option to pick from 3 sounds. You get this one, and this one. Okay, or you can turn it off as well. I like the third one. Okay, so let's say you have a lot of apps on the internal storage of your Galaxy Note 3. What you can do is you can actually go to the Settings, Application Manager, and let's just pick a random application like Amazon Kindle here. And by the touch of a button, you can move this entire thing to your SD card to save yourself some space. So this application is 32 megabytes. If I tap this, it will send the whole thing to my SD card. I currently don't have an SD card, so I'm not going to be able to do this, but this is an option that is available to you guys. Okay, so the next tip, let's go to Settings, let's go to Device, and let's go to the LED indicator. Now, if somebody calls you, what happens is if you miss the call, I'm sure a lot of you have seen the little LED light that blinks on the top here. You can actually have that LED blink for different reasons, such as these 4. You can set it up for charging, for low battery notification, for random notifications like phone calls and messages, missed phone calls and missed messages and for voice recording. So this will give you some more meaningful interaction with your phone, and the LED will notify you of certain things that may be happening with your phone. The other thing you can do is you can, on your lock screen, you can enable your phone such that by using your S Pen, you can bring up the Action Memo just by tapping this button and tapping the screen twice. And that is going to bring up the Action Memo. So what you have to do is, again, let me cancel that. Make sure you're pressing this button here and double tap on the screen, and the Action Memo will pop right up, and you can take a quick note, save it, and then you can just turn off your phone. Okay, so how do you do that? What you have to do is you have to go to Settings, you have to go to Device, and then you go to the lock screen, and from here all the way at the bottom you have to tick the checkbox next to where it says Action Memo on lock screen. Okay, so that is a nice little tip again. Okay, so the next tip is where you can actually track your data usage, and you can actually set data usage limits. So let's go to Settings, go to Connections, and go to Data Usage. This basically tracks how much data you are spending on your phone for a given data usage cycle. You can change the cycle by tapping this thing right here. You can click change cycle and pick a whatever date that you want. Let me just keep this one right here. And the other thing you can do is you can do a set mobile data limit. Okay, so once you reach this limit, your phone actually shuts off your data. So let's demonstrate. So if you say yes, just say okay, and here's the data limit option. It's the red bar. It's at 5 gigabytes right now. You can change that. You can, oh, here it is on the corner right here. So from the corner, you can put it up and down. There you go. So my data limit is set to 2.2 gigabytes. And then you can also have a warning sent to you, which is the orange bar, at 1.5 gigabytes. Of course, you can change that too. So on the corner here, just press your finger here or your S Pen, and you can move this up and down. So once my mobile phone uses 860 megabytes of data, I will get a warning. Okay, and if you scroll down, you can see which application is using most of your data, so you can better manage all this stuff. Now, another way to customize your device is if you go to Settings and you go to Device and you go to Font, you can change the entire font scheme of your phone. So let's say font style. Let's pick Choco Cookie. Let's say yes. And now, as you can see, the font scheme of my phone has changed everywhere. Not just the settings screen, every single location on the phone. Okay, and you have a bunch of different options in here, so you can go to your fonts. Where did that go? Device, font. You can change the font style and the font size. Okay, now one thing with the font style, if you go in here, beyond these 5 options that come pre-installed, you can click this Get Fonts Online button, and from the Play Store, you can in fact download many more fonts for free. Okay, so as you can see, there's much more options here. Well, I happen to prefer the basic font, so let me just switch back to that. Default. And of course, like I said, if you go back to Device and Font, you can change the size of your font. Tiny to huge. Now, another option that I personally love is when you're using your S Pen and you hover over folders, the folder actually expands and gives you a quick preview of what's inside. So let's look at this finance app. There we go. Okay. So if you go to the shopping folder, you see the little expansion that happens when you hover the S Pen right on top of it. Okay, so to enable or disable that, what you can do is you can go to Settings, Controls, and go to Air View, and from here you can tap on Air View Pen Options, and then from here you can turn off Information Preview. You can also turn off Progress Preview, Speed Dial Preview, and all that stuff. I'm going to show you what the Speed Dial Preview is next. Now, another really cool option that has to do with your S Pen is to be able to hover over these numbers and get a quick preview of the speed dial contact that was assigned to that number. So at 2, I have test 1 assigned to it. For 3, I have test 2 assigned to it. And to get this accomplished, what you do is you go to Settings, okay, you go to Air View, under Controls, Air View, and then make sure the Air View mode is Pen, and tap on the Options, oops, and from here, make sure the Speed Dial Preview is turned to On, okay, and just in case you don't know, to add a person to Speed Dial, what you do is you go over here, okay, and let's just go to that test 1 at the bottom here. Where's my test 1? Test 1. What you do is you have to pull the contact into the session, tap the settings, and from here you can actually choose Assign Speed Dial. So if I tap this, it's already been assigned to number 2. but just to show you how it works, there you go. And when you go back here and you hover over it, it shows you which contact was assigned to that number. Okay, the next step is where you can pull down the notifications tab up here. You can tap on the clock, which gives you a quick pop-up where you can scroll through your current time and the world clock. Okay, so all you do is you pull down the notifications tab and you tap on the clock and you get this option. This is a built-in feature. You don't have to enable any options for it, but you can add more cities through the add city option right here, which will take you to the clock. So let's just add one more. Let's just add Alaska. Okay, and then get out of the clock app, go down here, tap it, and you see Alaska should be at the bottom now. Okay, so this is a nice quick view for your world clock. Next tip, all Android devices have a hidden menu called the developers options, and you can enable them by going into the settings, general, and you'll see it right here. Well, you're not going to see it in the beginning unless you enable it. What you have to do is you have to go to about device and you have to tap on the build number 7 times. As you can see, mine says it's already been turned on. So you have to tap 7 times. When you go back out, you'll see the developers options. When you go in here, you don't want to play with these settings because they're not for the average user. But there's one option here that looked interesting and it seemed it's not going to cause any damage. What you can do is you can show where you're touching the screen on. So if I click this where it says show touches, now if I tap anywhere on the screen, you'll see a white dot that shows you where your finger was registered as it was tapping on the screen. Okay, so turn that off. Next tip. Now if you ever use the stock browser for the Samsung Galaxy Note 3, there's something annoying there that I hate. So let me find the browser. Okay, it's right here, Internet. And as you can see, this annoying browser bar appears at the bottom and it stays with you left and right. So if you tap it, it comes right up. Here's the option. You can turn this off. Settings, general, browser bar, turn off. Okay, so the next step is where you can actually add widgets to your lock screen. But before you can do so, you have to enable the options. So you go to settings, go to device, go to lock screen, and make sure multiple widgets is enabled. Again, the only way to enable this is if your screen lock security is turned on to swipe. Okay, if you have a password, this is not going to work. So let's go in here, and then from here, just turn it on. You can do the clock widget options. You can change it to a dual clock or a single clock. You can change the clock size. You can show the date, the weather, and all that stuff. So let's go and take a look at it real quick. So here's my multiple widgets. Okay, so the next step has to do with using voice commands to operate your camera. When you launch your camera, here's what you can do. Capture. Capture. And as I say capture, my phone actually captures a snapshot of whatever my phone is looking at. To enable this option, you want to go to Settings, Controls, then you go all right here. It says Voice Control. Make sure it's turned on and go inside, and you can use voice control for other things as well. But here's the camera. You can say capture, you can say shoot, you can say smile, you can say cheese, and it is going to take a picture of you from a distance. So you can take your own picture from a distance using these voice commands. You can also use the voice commands to play, pause, next, or previous on your music app. You can also use it to change the volume while you're playing the music. So you can say volume down, which will decrease the volume, or you can say volume up, which will increase the volume. Okay, so this is also a very fantastic hands-free operation for your phone. The next tip is where if your phone is turned off and just sitting on the table, and if you hover your hand over it, you get a quick preview of some of the couple of important things like missed phone calls, emails, or the battery level. So if you hover your hand, you get that tiny, nice summary screen. Now how do you get that? What you want to do is, let's go out here, we'll go to settings, go to controls right here, and then go to air gesture right here, and make sure quick glance is enabled. So as long as you have the quick glance enabled, you can hover your hand over the screen when the screen is off, and you'll get that quick glance preview of your missed calls, messages, emails, the time, and the battery level. And the next thing is where you can change the color scheme of your entire phone. This is a very simple trick. You go to settings, go to device, go to accessibility, go all the way, okay, in the middle here, it says negative colors. Okay, if you tap this, your menu turns white, but your whole phone reverses colors. Okay, just something to check out. So go back to settings, go to device, go to accessibility, in the middle here, negate the colors. So let's say you're using your phone and you're doing something important and suddenly somebody calls you. Normally what happens is whatever you're doing disappears and the whole phone menu pops in front of you and you have to either answer or decline. Now there's a nice way to actually make this less intrusive. What you do is you go to settings, okay, you go to device, and at the bottom here, let me see, where it says call, you go in there, and under the call settings, make sure you tap where it says incoming call notification. So what happens this time is if I'm doing something here, if I'm in Chrome for example, I'm browsing the web and somebody calls me, instead of my whole phone app popping at my face, I'm going to get a tiny little notification window at the bottom here, which is going to let me answer, decline, or respond with a message, or any other option that is available in the regular phone app. But it's going to be small, and it's not going to be intrusive like the phone app right here. Okay. And then one more thing I want to go over. You may or you may not know this. This is a pretty common thing. A lot of people know about this. Is the notification bar. If you pull this down, you have quick options on the top, and you can scroll through different settings. And also, if you press this you see the 4 squares here? If you tap this, you get full access to everything. Okay, so this is all the quick toggles available for you, and you can even edit these. So if you tap the pen button on the top here, you can now move these around. So you can take this guy and you can put it right here. You can take stuff from here and put it up here, and then that is going to reflect in your notifications bar on the top here. So you can customize this exactly to how you want it showing up to you. So this tip is about customization. So if you go to your lock screen, right, what you can do is, this is a pretty bland lock screen. What you can do is if you go to settings, device, and lock screen, you can put a personal message right here that shows right above the clock. Okay, so let's turn this on and let's tap something right here. And I just happen to put my YouTube channel name, but you can change this to whatever you want. You can change the font by tapping this. The font color can go this. The font type, you can pick Choco Cookie, which is already picked, so let's just do regular. You can save this. Okay, so now you're going to have a personal message showing up on the top of your lock screen right here. There you go. Okay, and again, you can go to the settings, can turn this off. You can also display another message on your lock screen known as the owner information. So if I tap this, I can type anything I want in here. Okay, so that's just an example. Life isn't about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. So if I click OK, the owner information shows right underneath the clock, and it actually scrolls sideways, so you can see the whole thing. Okay, so that's 2 ways how you can customize your lock screen.
Alright, so that brings us to the end of this video. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more videos to come. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this video, and also you can go ahead and connect with me socially on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter, for which all the links are in the description below. Thank you again, and I'll see you the next time. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, just throw them down in the comments section below.